Welcome to the channel. In this video, we are going to review the Enjoywood 48-inch heavy-duty workbench. Now, I do want to say right off the bat that yes, Enjoywood did send me this bench to do a video, but this was actually the exact bench that I was looking at that I wanted to buy eventually to put in that space. So I moderated a plain wellness carving course, and I have since then been obsessed with carving. I went camping, I carved like crazy. I've been just wanting to carve at every chance that I get. And if you know my workshop, there is no space for another bench. I just finished building this bench. I have my old Rockler bench. There is no space. So I had wanted one to go in that area, which I think was like 50 inches. So I searched and searched, found the Enjoywood bench, and I said, that's the one that I'm eventually going to buy. So when they reached out and said, hey, we'd like you to do a review video on this, I was like, heck yeah, that is perfect. So that's kind of how all of this came about. So let's dive into checking out the bench. So some of the reasons I picked this bench is, first of all, because the length was going to be perfect for where I wanted it to be. It also has a very big drawer so I can store stuff in there. It has an electrical outlet on the side, so eventually I'm going to get a lamp to be able to plug in there so I have more light when I'm carving. It also has all kind of cord organization stuff on the side, so when I do get the lamp or an extension cord or whatever the case may be under there, I can keep it well organized. The other cool thing about it is it also has pegboard on both sides, so I can put some pegs in there to add some additional storage. It can hold over 2,000 pounds on the top of the workbench. Now, I don't think that I'm going to be maxing that out, but if you guys are looking to use it in a different type of capacity, that might be important to you. The other big benefit to this bench that I wanted was the adjustable height and the adjustable feet. So I live in a really old house. It was built in not really old. It was built in 1968. I think, if I'm remembering correctly. So my floors aren't perfect, so I really wanted to have those adjustable feet so I could level out the bench. The other thing that I liked was the adjustable height. So the idea of having this as a carving bench is I wanted to be able to stand and sit depending on the day. If I was doing a lot of work outside, I wanted to be able to come in, sit down, and carve. If I sat at the computer all day for work, I wanted to be able to stand up to carve. And this bench with the adjustable height allowed me to do that. The other thing that just worked out perfectly that's a little like cherry on top that I kind of geeked out about is the chair that I use, the computer chair, has arms on it and they fit perfectly under the drawer. So I can push that chair all the way in and leave it set, and I'm just weird like that. I thought it was cool. Back to the drawer. The other thing that I liked about it is a full extension drawer with two big compartments. So on the one side, I can store all of my carving blanks. So anything that I'm going to use, I can just open the drawer, pull it out, start carving, put it back in there for storage. The other thing is sometimes I do travel and I go camping and I want to be able to take my carving stuff with me, but where do I put the storage cases for my travel? They can go right in that drawer too, because again, it is a big drawer that has a lot of storage. I'm not worried about the weight because if you look at the assembly of this, it's held together really well with a lot of screws. So I can load that thing up with blanks and not have to worry about it. A note on the assembly, I didn't show the assembly of the bench because the instructions were actually really good. I know a lot of times we buy products and the instructions just stink. For those ones, I will do setup videos, but for this one, it was super easy to put all of this together. The instructions were really good. Just prepare yourself because there is a lot of screws to attach the top to the base and a lot of screws to attach the bottom of the drawer to the sides of the drawer. So just be patient with yourself and take your time. The other big benefit that I liked about this workbench is that there's actually a lip all the way around the edge. So eventually I do want to get a carver's vise or a pattern maker's vise that I can clamp onto there or affix directly to the top of the bench. And having the lip around the edge allows me to do that. The other thing is I wanted to have a dedicated space to use my mini tools. It's not something that I use often, but I love using those mini tools. They work really well. And in my current shop, I just don't have a space for that. Also with the new bench, the way that I built it, I didn't build it with a lip, so I can't clamp my mini tools bench to this bench. But anyway, so with the lip that's on this Enjoywood bench, I can clamp my mini tool workbench onto there and use my mini tools. And again, that's just a huge bonus to me that it has that extra space there. I am going to point out that the only downside that I see to this bench is that it is wobbly. So I don't recommend using this as like a full-size hand planing bench or a chisel bench or something like that. If you're going to use mini tools, if you're going to do any kind of carving, if you want it to be a finishing bench, something like that. But just note that it wobbles a lot. So not as much wobble going lengthwise, but once you go widthwise, it wobbles quite a bit. If you do want it as like a planing bench or a chiseling bench or something where you're going to be moving a lot, I would recommend fastening it to the wall. There's a few different ways that you can do that. Just screwing a piece onto the back and then screwing that piece into the wall would most likely solve the issue for you. But for me, with the mini tools and with carving, it doesn't create any issues. I also need to make a note about the shelf because the shelf won't fit where I have this bench, so I have to look for somewhere else to put it. But the brackets for the bench, or excuse me, for the shelf do look really good. They look sturdy. I think it says it holds 50 pounds or something like that. The only downside to it is the wood for the shelf does not match the wood for the bench, which I thought was a little odd, but it works out for me because, again, I won't be able to use the shelf above the bench and I'll be putting it somewhere else. Overall, I am very happy with this bench, and I think it's going to serve me very well for what I intend to use it for. And I do think that it's just a blessing how it all kind of worked out, that I was looking at the bench and Enjoywood reached out to me to do a video, and it was just a blessing all around. So again, I do recommend this bench. Enjoywood also gave a discount code, so if you are going to purchase this bench, I'll put a link to it down below, and then use code BATCAVE15 to get 15% off, which I just thought was kind of cool too that they were willing to do that. So if you have any questions, any comments, anything like that, feel free to let us know down below. Hope you enjoyed. Have a good day.